What if I told you that the civilization we take such pride in is merely the tip of the iceberg? In every corner of the globe, the remains of giants and idols of half-human, half-reptilian beings appear with haunting frequency. We are accustomed to dismissing them as absurd legends, but could this simply be a veil to cover a spine-chilling truth? Perhaps those megalithic structures were never meant for human hands, and that fervent obsession with the stars didn't emerge from a vacuum. Did they, at pivotal moments in human evolution, quietly turn the dials of our genetic code? And now, have they vanished entirely into the depths of time? Or are they walking among us in bustling modern cities, hidden beneath a human skin? The primary plan of the Elohim was to establish a mechanism through which subtle information from other dimensions could be perceived and experienced within a three-dimensional reality. To this end, they designed an evolutionary path that allows consciousness to understand every stage of creation step by step. Duality, the forces of positive and negative, is not a conflict, but the very foundation for creating reality. Polarity is the key to upgrading the system. By constantly shifting between the positive and negative poles, and by resolving the recurring challenges of life, the system achieves self-perfection. This back-and-forth oscillation between polarities forms what we know as DNA and the chain of electrons, driving consciousness upward in an eternal evolutionary spiral. To record and process the experiences of evolution, they developed two core systems. Emotion, the soul, is regarded as the carrier of energy and the source of memory. Functioning like a library, emotion records every experience throughout the evolutionary journey and generates the energy required to build more complex organs and abilities. Mind, the spirit, seeks to understand reality from a rational perspective through meditation, reflection, and the processing of information. The Elohim created diverse species to respectively represent and carry positive energy and negative energy. These species were not intended for confrontation, but for synergy. Through the collision and fusion of these polarities, they create new systems, new physical vessels, and more diverse ways of comprehending the universe. In short, this is an evolutionary experiment that tempers consciousness through duality, positive and negative, emotion and reason, encodes higher wisdom into the DNA helix, and ultimately achieves a grand integration of universal experience. During the Atlantean era, the two species representing these positive and negative polarities were the giants and the reptilians, known respectively as the Nemnir and the Soffhir. This was not a distinction between good and evil, but rather two parallel evolutionary paths. One focused on the rational understanding of the mind, while the other emphasized experiential growth through emotion. In the higher realities of the fourth or fifth dimensions, life is eternal, and the concept of death does not exist. This means higher dimensional beings lack a sense of survival, and consequently, they cannot generate the explosive evolutionary data that stems from a sense of urgency. We require the cycle of death and rebirth to continuously experience, create, and gather more data. Indeed, the entire evolution of the universe is essentially the creator's process of self-discovery through the continuous collection of information. Therefore, to gather more extensive data, the concept of death was introduced into the third dimension. The advent of death gave rise to the survival instinct, a force that compels every organism, from bacteria to humans, to strive desperately to stay alive. It is precisely under this pressure of the necessity to survive that life has generated rich emotional records and vast amounts of evolutionary data, becoming the very engine of evolution. In essence, all the coding and information regarding survival within our bodies originates from the reptilians. The reptilians are the ultimate masters of the survival codes and information on Earth and other planets. Possessing vast interstellar survival experience, they understand how to navigate worlds and transmit this knowledge through blood across generations. The core of their legacy lies in the emotional codes. Rather than being passive recipients of emotion, they utilize it as a tool to capture information and awaken the latent power within that data. They taught life how to survive under the constant threat of death and how to achieve a form of eternity amidst the cycles of the material world. The giants, known as the Nemnir, hold the responsibility of recording and preserving everything that has occurred in Earth's history. They represent the power of the mind and communicate through telepathy. They dwelt exclusively in frigid regions. For this reason, the records they left behind are entombed within the ice of the North Pole or Antarctica. The Nemnir were pale-skinned and colossal in stature, and while they resembled ancient humans in form, they were aloof by nature, never proactively seeking contact with humanity or other species. In the eyes of ancient humans, they were gods, residing at the closest points to the heavens. People would endure great hardships to seek their guidance, regarding them as the most ancient humanoid intelligent beings on the planet. The giants first descended upon Earth approximately 1 million years ago. Originating from frigid planets, they possessed an innate and profound energetic connection to cold, ice, and the library of nature. They chose to settle in the freezing regions of the Northern Hemisphere, including Scandinavia, Siberia, Alaska, Canada, and Greenland. They held a particular affinity for Siberia, as it hosts two of Earth's most vital energy portals, the physical portal at the North Pole and the magnetic portal at Lake Baikal. These regions served as the gateways for lunar energy and the feminine aspect of the universe to enter the Earth. In these desolate reaches, they established a society known as the Hyperborean civilization. This was a collection of small, tribal-like groups consisting of hundreds of individuals scattered across the permafrost. By utilizing cave and tunnel systems that connected to the planet's interior, the inner Earth, they were able to survive in extreme sub-zero temperatures while guarding the information enshrined within the ice. The actions of these giants were no coincidence. They were guided by higher civilizations from other planets. Their core mission was to seed information into Earth's glaciers, translating cosmic wisdom into physical data that could be preserved by the planet itself. Water is the body of the Earth, and more importantly, it is a living entity of consciousness. Water possesses the ability to alter its form and store information based on the surrounding vibrations. Long before the awakening of human self-awareness, the primary mission of the giants was to preheat these frozen reservoirs, encoding wisdom from extraterrestrial systems into the Earth's water systems. The giants were the first singers of this planet. They did not communicate through conventional language. Instead, they used music, chanting, and vibration to etch interstellar information into the glaciers. In the profound silence of the night, they channeled energy from the stars, infusing the ice and snow with celestial codes through their song. As humanity's original mentors, they taught early humans how to converse with nature through singing and how to read the natural book of ice and snow. Those grand stone circles and temples were, in fact, their signal amplifiers. With only 2 or 3 giants, they could conduct ceremonies within these specific geometric structures to complete the encoding of interdimensional information. They were known as the Keepers, responsible for maintaining the opening of the Earth's 2 eyes. The so-called North and South Pole gates are not merely physical entrances to the inner Earth, but trans-spatial gateways leading to other dimensions. The giants were the guardians of these dimensional portals. Following drastic shifts in the Earth's climate, such as the progression of the Ice Age, these giants were forced to leave their original Hyperborean homelands. As the glaciers expanded southward, they migrated into Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and North America, reaching as far as the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean. It was during this era of great migration that they encountered the nascent Homo sapiens. This period of coexistence forged the collective memory found in various mythologies of giants guiding humanity. The giants did not live in highly organized societies or cities. On the contrary, they existed in a state of extreme dispersion and solitude. Typically, just 2 or 3 giants would be responsible for guarding an entire, vast territory. Although they were not evil by nature, they were incredibly aloof and lacked any desire for social interaction. Their temperament was more akin to that of a solitary bear in the wilderness, reticent, silent, and possessing a natural air of intimidation. Their lives were exceedingly simple. They dedicated themselves almost entirely to the task of guarding those ice caves, maintaining no contact with the outside world beyond that mission. For countless ages, almost no one could communicate with them, except for when they decided to use humans for the purpose of reproduction. The second race to arrive on Earth was the Reptilians. Although their ancestors originated from the stars, the Reptilians, Soffhir, were actually created here on this planet. They emerged from the underground. The fathers of the Soffhir were the Draconians from the Draco constellation, who were cold and precise geneticists. The Draconians searched the universe for a species capable of carrying their information while possessing extraordinary survival traits. They discovered that the reptilian creatures on Earth, such as the dinosaurs, held perfect survival potential. The Elohim needed to create a path for the evolution of consciousness. They reached out to the Draco constellation to seek a solution, exploring how to build a being that could not only survive and adapt to a harsh environment like Earth, but also harbor cosmic information within themselves through the medium of emotion. Consequently, the Draconians extracted samples from Earth's native reptiles and combined them with interstellar data. This led to the creation of self-aware beings, the Reptilians, who could adapt to the planet's changing environment while possessing the ability to process emotional information. By merging with the genes of Earth's indigenous reptiles, the Reptilians gained near-invincible adaptability. As carriers of interstellar information, they use emotion as a vessel to translate extraterrestrial wisdom into practical survival experience for Earth. The physical appearance of the Reptilians reflects a hybrid of their celestial fathers and Earth's native species. They possess arms and hands similar to humans, though their posture is slightly hunched. Their bodies are covered in scaly skin, like that of snakes or lizards, and they possess iconic yellow eyes. They often carry canes, which serve not only as symbols of authority, but also represent the ancient power of the snake on Earth. Originally, the reptilians lived in reclusive isolation like lizards, inhabiting deep caves, remote mountains, or vast deserts. They possessed no cities or clothing cultures similar to those of humans. Instead, they were more like a guild of mysterious hermits. Humans of that era regarded them as sages, traveling far into the wilderness to seek their counsel and guidance. As the Ice Age drew to a close, the once mighty giants, Nemnir, retreated toward the North and South Poles. The warming climate allowed the reptilians to rise, occupying the sweltering regions between the tropics and establishing their own empires. The most critical stronghold for the reptilians on Earth was the region known as the Heart of the Snake, located in present-day Iran. The deserts within the Zagros Mountains are considered the treasury of wisdom for all of human history. Centered there, the reptilians solidified their status as the planet's most important species. The reptilians possess the ability to manipulate the emotions of the beings surrounding them, a power that allowed them to easily compel other species, including humans, to work for them. As cold-blooded beings, they can precisely control their internal energy fluctuations as if flipping a switch. In contrast, the emotional volatility of mammals is far more difficult to self-regulate. This characteristic of absolute coolness enabled them to process internal information with far greater efficiency. The reptilians were not a purely evil species. They provided a wealth of technology and wisdom to support human civilization. However, their rule was imperious. Should human actions diverge from their desires, they would launch campaigns of conquest. They were simultaneously the architects of Earth's wisdom and its iron-fisted controllers. For millennia before the advent of Christian civilization, the snake, the reptilian race, was a universal symbol of wisdom and enlightenment across all global cultures. From the rainbow serpent of the Australian Aborigines, the concepts of Kundalini and Naga in India, and the dragons of China, to the sacred serpents of Mexico, Amazonia, and the uraeus atop the crowns of Egyptian pharaohs, all represented the givers of knowledge. The snake was revered as a mentor who taught humanity self-governance and awakened their cognition. Modern fear and negative perceptions of the serpent stem primarily from the Christian perspective, which is only 2,000 years old. Throughout the vast majority of human history, however, civilizations honored and expressed gratitude to the reptilians for the wisdom they bestowed. At the dawn of civilization, women were viewed as the extension of the creator in the material world. Thus, the concept of the goddess preceded that of the god. Creating life requires immense energy and emotion. Because women possess this potent emotional energy, they were believed to be directly connected to the universe, the goddess. This creative energy, which flows through the body toward enlightenment, moves in a spiral shape strikingly similar to that of a serpent. Consequently, humanity linked the form of the snake with the Earth Mother and the goddess. The reptilians and women once worked in close partnership. The reptilians taught women how to master the process of creating life and how to manage society. This made women the very first priests and shamans in history. In every ancient culture, there exists the imagery of the sacred tree, representing the structure of the universe. The fruit of the tree symbolizes the wisdom humanity must attain. The original archetype was this: the serpent stood by the sacred tree, guiding the woman in how to acquire and process that wisdom. The turning point in history occurred with the arrival of the Aesir, known as the Anunnaki in the Persian region. Although they were also giants, they were entirely different from the earlier Nemnir. They usurped the wisdom and symbols of the reptilians, turning them into tools of dominion. They shifted the center of power from the feminine to the masculine, utilizing men to exert control over society. To consolidate this new order, they bound the woman and the snake together in a narrative of degradation. This distortion eventually evolved into the religious myth we know today. The serpent tempted the woman, leading to the fall of mankind. Although modern civilization retains only legends regarding the giants, these stories reveal their identity as the guardians of wisdom. In Norse mythology, Odin had to sacrifice one of his eyes in exchange for the wisdom of the runes from the giant who guarded the sacred tree. This symbolizes that acquiring the core, deep wisdom of the earth requires a tremendous sacrifice. The giants represent a certain stature or height. The competitive drive in modern human society to achieve and become more powerful is essentially rooted in the fact that the giants were the keepers of wisdom. Humans subconsciously long to become as big as them to obtain that power. The connection between the reptilians and modern civilization is more direct and intimate, manifesting primarily in emotional management. Despite the high advancement of modern science, humanity remains enslaved by its emotions. This inability to master emotion is precisely where the reptilian system operates. The rumors suggesting that the elite class are reptilians exist because those presidents and powerful figures have mastered the alchemy and manipulative wisdom left behind by the reptilian race. This secret knowledge was first learned by the Masons in the Middle East, subsequently brought to Europe, and inherited by organizations like the Illuminati during the Renaissance. The so-called New World Order is, in reality, the ruling of the world through ancient reptilian logic. The most fundamental influence of the reptilians on humanity is rooted in our biological structure. The operating logic of modern society is still based on survival, feeding, and fighting. Whenever you feel the compulsion to compete or the desperation to survive, it is the reptilian brain within you speaking. This system, based on survival instincts and emotional manipulation, constitutes the underlying source code of how today's society functions.